All we got to do is go back home and turn our communities into productive places. All we got to do is go back home and make our communities a decent and safe place to live.
Right here live on NBTV, folks, we're standing next to none other than the president, CEO of the National SCLC, Dr. Charles Steele. He gave a great speech here today, of course, 18 years removed from the Millions Man March here in Tuskegee, Alabama. Doc, how do you feel about, of course, the speech that you gave today and the entire experience here today in Tuskegee, Alabama?
It's great. It's a new movement. Minister Louis Farrakhan has re-energized us. He did a good job with not just training people in the nation, but African Americans and people of fair-mindedness all over. And it's because of the epitome of his leadership that we're so motivated and ready to go. What we must do is to continue to fight. We must go back to the streets. We got to demonstrate. We got to go and let this country and the world know that as African Americans and as poor people, we're not going to take it anymore. They turning back the clock on us. But we have gotten what I consider stalemated to the point where we think we have arrived. And I tell folks, well, you might have arrived, but you got off at the wrong station. You need to get back home because your destination is not where you got off at. So we are here to further execute and bring about the rejuvenation of the movement. But everybody said we don't need SCLC no more. Those days are over. Well, I'm announcing today, ladies and gentlemen, that the union of SCLC, the Civil Rights Movement, and the Nation of Islam is together. We are united. Nobody will separate us. Nobody will give us the rhetoric that we don't need Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam. We ain't going nowhere.
It's so ironic, of course, Doc, being here in Tuskegee, right down the street from Montgomery, Alabama. Of course, we all know the march from Selma to Montgomery. How does it feel, of course, to be here in this community, knowing that the civil rights movement has such a big impact on African Americans?
Well, first of all, the civil rights movement, in terms of Dr. King and others that started with Rosa Parks, the modern day civil rights movement, was basically dealing with poor people. We don't even have people talking about poor people or poor folks. That's what it's all about. We got half of our population within the African American community can't afford to lose a job, can't afford to not be employed, or else we're going to go back to the plantation. We must realize that also we must employ ourselves. I like the analogy that Ishmael gave. Minister Ishmael gave the analogy, just 5 cents a day. With 16 million African Americans, not to mention 46 million total population, just 5 cents a day, 35 cents a week, we can overcome the impoverished conditions that we have. And he also stressed the fact, let's buy some land. It's all about the land. And what this system has done, and people who are oppressing us, have escalated the value of land so high, astronomically, that we can't afford to buy no land. We can't afford to go and do what our foreparents did, and that was to farm the land, because of the astronomical aspect of the value that this system had put to the land to eliminate us in terms of our opportunities to be entrepreneurs, to be holistically employed by ourselves. But we must go back to the drawing board, but you can never forget what got us here in terms of the little freedom that we have, so-called freedom, is that we marched, we demonstrated, we went to jail. We must do the same thing.
Is there any closing remarks, of course, you would like to let the nation know as it relates to what took place today and where should we go from here?
What took place today was an example of how we've come a long ways, but we have a long ways to go. What took place today was a rejuvenation of a nation, of people. We no longer can isolate ourselves and say we're not going to work with the nation not going to work with SCLC and the other civil rights organizations. We're going to work together, and that's the message. We're not going to let anyone tell us that we can't work harmoniously together. We are here to stay. Nobody going to take us away, and that's what it's all about, and we're moving forward.
There it is, folks, live on NBTV. You heard it by none other than Dr. Charles Steele, the president, CEO of the National SCLC. That's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s, of course, organization, folks. This is the man who's the head and in charge. Stay tuned right here at NBTV.